Hey, so what's going on, guys? So I saw a portion of this clip earlier today, and I had to react to it. This is Cenk Uygur on, I guess it's PBD's podcast, and some of the things he was saying really made me feel a little bit validated, per se. Because he's describing and describing a lot of things regarding the election and Maga and the left wing and Democrats. Some of the things that he says here are some of the exact same things that I've been saying for 4 years, but he kind of describes it a little better. But 90% of what he says in this video, I agree with. And it's the same arguments I've been trying to make to other people. So it does make me feel a little vindicated, because I knew before that I wasn't the only one that had these positions or had these opinions, but it's good to hear other people say it. And I know, not that Cenk has a bad reputation, but, you know, he likes to yell and this, that, and the other, and it turns some people off. But full disclosure, like, I've been a TYT fan for a long time. I stopped watching him most recently because honestly I stopped watching a lot of like political commentary stuff, but seeing him and Anna kind of having some of the same positions as me currently, I don't really care what anyone thinks. Like, it kind of makes me feel vindicated. Like, I know that I'm not the only person thinking these things or having these feelings. Like, there's a lot of bias on the left. I do think the left has gone too far left, especially on social issues. I know my buddy doesn't think they exist for some reason. I really don't know why, but there are those three main things. It's the economy, it's wars, and it's these social issues, and it's all the cancel culture. All this stuff played a role in Kamala and Democrats losing, but it wasn't just the economy. And to disregard all these other things as if they didn't exist just doesn't really make any sense to me. Like, you have to address them. They were real. It's not make believe. Crime is real. Like, it's not make believe. Like, I don't know how else to say it. So anyway, so I'm just gonna skim through this video, but I think he describes this perfectly. There might be some things in here I disagree with, because I didn't finish the whole thing, because I just wanted to react to it. So let's just get into it. Let me know what you think.
So let's get right into it. Cenk, are you now a Republican?
Okay, so a lot of people on the left have that theory.
That's so funny.
The definitive answer is no.
I've had people say this to me.
Look, I've been a populist all along, and what's fascinating to me is how much politics in America has changed. Because the left-wing populists, like the Bernie Sanders type of guys, have been standing a post waiting for our right flank to appear at some point. Because giant things like getting money out of politics, you cannot do alone. The left wing can't do it alone. The right wing can't do it alone. The only way to fix it is an amendment, because you got to go above the Supreme Court. You need 3/4 of the states. So for me, I've always thought, if we don't get united, we're never going to beat the establishment. And the establishment has been my enemy forever and ever and ever.
I don't think anyone could deny that.
I wish we had beaten them, through Bernie in 2016 or 2020. And I'm not saying that they're knocked out. I mean, the establishment is gigantic. They've got billions and trillions of dollars, and they're going to make a huge comeback in the 2028 primaries. But on the Republican side, they've largely been defeated. And so here's what my left-wing friends don't understand. They think you guys are all MAGA, and MAGA means it's a cult, and you're never going to disagree with Trump. You're never going to disagree with each other, and that you are like their father's Republicans, but you're not their father's Republicans. And so our side, I've been trying to get them to realize that Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, all these folks that take the money, they're not on your side. They're on the establishment side, right? And for you guys on the right, when I used to debate you, and I don't mean you guys in specific, I mean in general, all I would get is wall-to-wall talking points. Oh, Mitch McConnell knows what he's doing. Oh, John Cornyn is the best. Oh, George Bush, Dick Cheney, etc. And we've been around forever. We're the longest-running show in internet history, right? We're the first YouTube partner channel ever. That makes me like the original YouTuber, right? Oh, wow. And so I battled the Cheneys. I battled all those guys in the Bush years.
This is all true. I'm gonna pause. So what he just said about how the left sees MAGA as a cult, my buddy has made this exact same argument. And to me, he's not made this argument to me per se, like directed at me, but I'm not MAGA for one. And two, if anybody disagrees with them, they label them as MAGA, and they label them as oh, it's all a cult. It's just that, and like, it all goes back to the point that I always make, is like, the left, for whatever reason, they don't listen. They refuse to listen to their opponent. They refuse to listen to people who aren't even their opponent. They refuse to listen. And then they act shocked and surprised. They're all shocked and surprised when they don't win these votes, when they don't win these people over. And it just makes no sense to me. They think that everything is just made up. It's all a distraction. It's make believe. That's not the case. Like I don't understand how they come to these conclusions. It really makes no sense. And last thing is, like, I was one of TYT's, like, first, I guess at this point, it makes sense, like, contributors. I used to, like, when I was like in college, I used to pay them. Like, I forget what that contribution program was, but yeah, I used to really love TYT. Like, that TYT was my thing. Like, when after college, like, I worked for, like, it was we were canvassing for AOC. It was a company that I was working for, and they were working on AOC's campaign, like the whole Justice Democrats and everything. That was me. Like, I was all in that. I'm not saying that I'm not in it now, but it's just, well, okay, I'm not so much in it now, but I just think they've done a lot of damage to themselves, and they won't look in the mirror, and they don't listen to other people. They just refuse to.
I hit Obama from the left, and people got super mad. I mean, that's part of the reason why I had the huge blowout with MSNBC, and I left MSNBC because they didn't want me to hit Obama, and they didn't want me to hit the Democrats. So I've been doing that from day one. And guys, today, I think that, we could do something historic. I think that we could actually unite the left flank and the right flank. And I've got a model for how to do that, and I want to run it by you guys. I've got a couple of rules for the internet that I want to run by you guys. Rules sound bad, right? But hold on, I think you're going to like these rules. And then I want to see, hey, is there a couple of things that we can unite on right now on this show, make the show a little bit historic, and say, hey, this is what the internet thinks. This is what the populace of the right and the left think. Let's go tackle the establishment and make it happen.
Okay.
You know what? I didn't address that, but I think I agree with what he's saying. Like, I know some people will disagree, but isn't the whole Trump thing, it's Trump going against the establishment on the right. So honestly, he has defeated them. Like, the right establishment is washed. Nobody trumps them. Trump trumps them, but nobody trusts him. Like, that's the whole swamp. That was his whole deal. But the establishment on the left is still there. It's like the left wing establishment plus now the left wing, who I call this far left wing. This is what I call them, blue MAGA. I don't call the establishment blue MAGA. The far left wing is blue MAGA, in my opinion, right? And they're just loud and crazy. So it's like everything is just awful. Like, it's just bad. And then they're hard headed. They don't listen. They try to cancel anybody who disagrees with them. And if they can't cancel them, they just leave. they run away into another echo chamber. Like, it's ridiculous. I think Cenk is right. He's obviously has way more experience with this than I do, but he's in my opinion, he's expressing this way better than I have. Well, I've only been talking about it recently, but online per se. But yeah, I think he's right. I don't see how anyone who's generally objective can disagree with that beginning portion of his statement there. It makes sense to me.
So before we do that, can I ask you a couple questions?
Of course.
So for you, election night, we had you on, you came, you spoke, you're a fiery guy, you're a true believer, you're a guy that we've all seen you. You're not a guy that you actually are not acting. Like, you actually believe what you believe in, and you actually get upset. You really are upset, right? So I know it's going to sound weird. I think there is an element of Alex in you. There's an element of you in Alex. I know you don't want to hear that part. I'm telling you as a person that's a viewer, you guys have been on both for a long time, and you guys have both been hated by opposing sides, and I think you guys have a lot of similarities from the messaging that you believe in. Now, you may not agree with each other, but that's the messaging. What do you think with all these ideas? Like, sometimes for me, I'm running a business, and I have some ideas. I create a comp, and the comp is not growing the company. But I say it's the right comp. A year later, nothing's happening. But it's the right comp. 2 years later, 3 years later, 5 years later, nothing's happening. Then you have to sit there and say, by yourself, and this is not easy to do. I've shut down my channel twice for 3 months because I sat down with Mario and I said, look, the last 100 videos, we haven't had any views that get 100,000 views. Why is that? We only had 2 of them. And we had 40 videos over 1 million views. Why have our last 100 not performed? We kind of talked about that a little bit when I was on your show as well. And then we shut down. We're like, okay, let's regroup. Watch those videos they used to do. Watch this year. What's happened with the climate? What's changed? Is the market pivoting? You're not. Are you, with your values and principles that you had, the results? For you, What did you notice where you said, maybe I was wrong with these principles?
Okay, I was
that
wondering where
thought
he
were
was
the
going
right
with this.
way to think about. I know I was right about this.
I see.
This is the one thing that whether I'm right or wrong, I'm not compromising. It's my conviction. But I know I was wrong about these two things. Is there anything that you personally went through?
Yeah,
That was a little long-winded, but he got there in the end. He landed the plane. So I want to see what Cenk is going to say about this.
There's a tiny on policy, but more on how to react to the right wing, which is a really, I think, interesting conversation. So look, I get why the left is skeptical, because what happens is usually there's a pattern, and unfortunately some former TYT hosts have done this, where they beseech the right wing. They start agreeing a little bit and then a lot, and then next thing you know, they're pulling a Reuben or eating a Reuben sandwich. And I don't eat that, right? And I don't do that. But what has happened, to the core of your question? So there's tiny things around policy, like I believe in no cash bail, right? So if two guys commit a sexual assault, one is poor and one is rich, the rich guy pays bail, gets out, the poor guy can't. And by the way, they're accused. It's alleged, right? You don't know. But the poor guy stays in jail for mainly being poor. So it makes sense to be for no cash bail. But what wound up happening is California, for example, reduced some felonies to misdemeanors, which they didn't really tell us. It was in a prompt measure. I voted for the prompt measure, but they never actually said in the ballot measure, we're going to reduce penalties for these crimes, which are some significant crimes. And when you combine the two things, repeat offenders kept getting out of jail and doing another crime and another crime and another crime. And I realized, okay, wait a minute, we got an issue here. So on no cash, first of all, on the issue of taking the felonies to misdemeanors, once we found out what was going on, I'm like, look, I've been to every progressive convention there's been and every progressive conference, talked to every leader, etc. I never heard anyone say, let's take felonies and turn them into misdemeanors.
To me,
I don't
that
know
sounds
where the hell
insane.
that came from.
Like,
right?
that sounds crazy.
So I said, okay, now that I see that, okay, if you commit 3 offenses, then you're a repeat offender and you have to put up a cash bail. Okay? So if you're a guy, oh my God, geez, son, you got accused and you didn't do it, okay, no cash bail, right? But if you do it 3 times, you got to put up bail, no question. And now we voted in California for Prop 36, and I made the position against what you guys would call extreme left or radical left. I'm trying to call them max left now to be respectful.
MAGA.
Right?
They're called
Those
blue
guys said
MAGA.
crime is imaginary.
That's what
and
you
I
call
said,
them.
no, crime is not imaginary.
Whoa,
Crime is
pause,
actual,
pause.
right? But those
Go
guys said
back.
crime is imaginary. And
I've heard people say this. Well, maybe not verbatim, crime is imaginary, but legit, they live in these blue cities, in these blue states where crime is crazy. I live in one, and they swear it's not real. Like they pretend as though like crime doesn't exist. There's no crime. Like, what are you talking? Like, are they just making it up? Like, I don't understand. How could anybody in their right mind who live in these cities just walk around? Like, what are you talking about? They legit believe it. It's like, because they don't. It's like they legitimately do not want to punish crime. If you break the law, you should be punished. Like, I don't understand. If you commit a crime, you should be punished. Like, I don't. What are they talking about? And then their argument is that it doesn't exist. It's literally that it doesn't exist. It's insane. Like, it's crazy.
I said, no, crime is not imaginary. Crime is definitely real. And crime is going up. And guys, if we don't do something about putting these folks in jail if they're repeat offenders, we're going to lose everybody. And they said, you're nuts. That's not going to happen. Then Prop 36 in California was saying, put them back to felonies, right? It won with 70% of the vote.
Good.
70%
Big
of the
surprise.
vote, right? In California.
People don't like crime.
And that's my point to my friends on the max left.
MAGA
like,
left.
you guys want to be maximalists, but that's not where Democratic voters are, let alone Republican voters. So I'm
gonna stop pausing, but he's literally describing they've gone too far to the left. They've gone crazy. That's insane. That's literally what he's saying. They've gone too far. Like, what are you talking about? And when the proposition gets on the ballot, it wins by 70% because the vast majority of people know that it's a problem and it needs to be fixed. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I was never in favor of making them misdemeanors, but I was in favor of unlimited cash bail. Now that I've changed that, but you see, it's tiny. It's a tiny change based on what I saw, based on experience, based on these guys getting out and doing it again. But the main thing, Patrick, is before, when I battled the right wing, it was a wall, right? I'm just like, nobody's listening to one another. They're just doing talking points. I hated it. And then MAGA looked like they were 100%. I'll be honest. I mean, in 2020, I was super pissed. And I said, look, I don't want to talk to Trump supporters. All I hear is the same thing. Trump.
You know, it's interesting. Like in 2020, I was not like that. I wasn't like, oh, I don't want to talk Trump supporters. I was more like, I did think MAGA and this whole. I was one of these people. MAGA's a cult. This, that, and other. Everyone's crazy. I was one of them. But I think where I shifted is like I separated myself from everything. Like I didn't watch TYT, CNN, mainstream media, social media. I wanted nothing to do with the politics. Like, of course, like during COVID, you know, the whole BLM stuff and like it's unavoidable. So I'm aware of these things. I'm aware of these social issues. I'm aware of what was going on, you know, in the country during the Trump administration. But I tried my hardest not to listen to anything because I was jaded. Like I was a Bernie supporter. I still to this day think Bernie was the rightful candidate. Like he should have won. He should have been the nominee, and I genuinely believe he would have won the presidency. I think he would have won this year, you know. But I was never mad. It was more like, okay, I've seen this story already, and I'm jaded. I don't want nothing to do with this. And I kind of am still this way because they don't like Democrats don't listen. Each side listens to one another, but like the Democrats after Trump have just like they've jumped off of a cliff. Like I remember having conversations with some people who are on the left and hearing some of the stuff they would tell me about like why certain people would get canceled and why they believe certain things. I'm not gonna call these people out because you know they can't defend themselves, but it's not an attack or anything. But like I just remember sitting there, and this was like in like game chats and stuff because we were gaming and stuff. And we will have these conversations. And I'll be sitting there thinking to myself, like, I don't understand what they're talking about. Like some of the things they were describing just sounded crazy to me. Like we got to open shelters so people can go do drugs safely. And it's like, just to me, that's crazy. Just stop. We need to get people off drugs. Like, it's just insane. You can't play a video game because the person who created the video game said something that doesn't fit in the line of what we think. We got to cancel this person. You know what I'm talking about. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like I've said it in other videos, and I'll say it again. You got to stop trying to cancel people. Men should not be in women's sports. Sorry. Like, I don't know. What do you want me to say? Like, canceling somebody over that, like, it's just crazy. It's insane. And then last thing, I don't know if this is actually a later video, I guess. Me and my buddy were having a conversation about that in particular. And he said, and I'll never forget this. He said that, well, we should have a league for anyone who's like transgender, like regarding sports. I remember, and I don't know if I said this to him, but those same conversations that I was having with some friends, like on over game chats and stuff, or like in Discord or whatever, during the Trump administration, during COVID, I made this argument, and they wanted to cancel me. Mind you, like I have no context of any of these topics. To me, I'm just going off of what seems like it makes sense. I was like, well, these people don't want them competing because it seems unfair, right? So why not just there's the Special Olympics and whatnot. Why not just have your own league or have your own competitions? I was threatened with cancellation because apparently what I said was transphobic. Who knew? There's a prominent streamer who I went into his chat and I said I wanted an answer to this question. I was like, I don't understand why they can't. How is saying that you need a separate league can't transphobic, and why would you cancel somebody? Guess what happened to me? I got banned for asking that question. Insane. Like it's to me that lets me know that you people aren't dealing with reality. You've lost the plot. You lost the plot a long time ago. You're writing your own plot. That's all that's going on. So anyway, my little rant's over there.
Trump, and they never waver. So what I'm saying to the left now is no, I'm seeing something new and different here. The MAGA base has changed. Okay, that doesn't mean they don't like Trump. It doesn't mean that they're not right wing, but there is a significant portion of the MAGA base now that is, in my opinion, right wing populists who are actually anti-establishment, actually anti-corruption, actually anti-war.
How can you do this? Is true. This is so true.
Take the win.
Yes.
Take the win.
This is
We've
so
been
true.
standing opposed here for 20 years, trying to cut the Pentagon, trying to be anti-war, being getting money out of politics. If people say yes, for God's sake, that's our lost tribe. Those are our right-wing brother and sisters who are Americans, who are populists, who agree with us. Let's go fight the establishment together, because if we're united, they cannot stop us.
Are you?
I agree
are you
100% what he just
At
said.
all in a place right now? You're registered what? Democrat?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you at all at a place where you've thought about being a registered independent or libertarian?
So the reason I became a Democrat is because in California, if you're an independent, you can't vote in Democratic primaries. And so I wanted to vote for Bernie Sanders, et cetera. So I became a Democrat, and I don't have any problem staying in the Democratic Party. I ran for president in the Democratic Party as a protest candidate against Biden, as you remember, right? But now we're in a situation where we've got realignment, where there's a left-right spectrum, then there's the populist establishment spectrum, right? So I am center-left, but I'm way populist. I'm 100% populist, right? So things are moving. If it turns out, and the parties have switched before.
Damn, are me and Cenk the same person?
Then I don't have any allegiance to a party label or name, right?
Me neither.
But right now, the Republicans are still right-wing, Democrats are still left-wing, so I'm going to stay there.
So why do you think the Democratic Party lost a Rogan, lost a Tulsi, lost a Bobby, lost a Musk, lost a Trump, all these guys were former Democrats. Why do you think, and let's set Trump aside, because maybe Trump.
This is a very important question.
In the 80s and 90s.
I'm curious what he's going to say.
The names recently, like Musk, like Rogan, like Tulsi, like Bobby, these guys. Why do you think they're losing these names?
Yeah, so everything's a little bit different, and every person's different. So Tulsi, I think, was always secretly a right-winger, but
Probably.
Bobby Kennedy Jr. was not. He was definitely a Democrat, right? And so he's a decent example. So Bobby has opinions that a lot of people on the left don't agree with, right? To which I say something revolutionary to the left. So what?
Pause. Pause. I don't know how many videos I've had out. It hasn't been that many. But surely you guys have heard me say this exact same thing to my buddy. Are me and Cenk the same person? So what? So what? I say it all the time. So what? So he disagrees with you. And like, what do you mean? Is he a bad person now? You're gonna cancel him? You're gonna shut him down? Or are you gonna try to find common ground? Or are you gonna say, okay, he is still a Democrat. Why does he have this opinion? But no, what do they always do? Oh, you're MAGA. Oh, you sound like you like Trump. Like, bro, so what? Everyone has the right to believe, vote for whomever and whatever they want. If someone is on your side and they have a different opinion than you, the last thing you should do is try to cancel them or push them away or shun them or make them feel stupid or put yourself on a pedestal and see it or just be a pretentious dick. I say that all the time. Like Democrats do this all the time. It's ridiculous. Like, so what? So what? Yo, TYT about to get another subscriber. I'm about to reset. Nah, I never unsubbed, but anyway.
He agrees with us on the environment. He agrees with us on housing,
yeah,
on anti-corruption. He doesn't agree with us on vaccines, fluoride, etc. Right? Why don't we have a conversation with the brother? Why don't we include him? Why don't we do a real primary? And if he wins, he wins. If he loses, he loses. Do you believe in democracy or don't you believe in democracy? And look, he would have easily lost the primary, in my opinion, in the Democratic side. But what the Democrats, and this is a culture problem, right? So on policy, I'm totally left wing. But when you talk about culturally, there's a couple of issues that are going on. Number one, I've always been like when I was a kid, I was a Hulkamaniac, right?
Yes.
And so, look, I love all you folks who love the art and the opera and the ballet and stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that. And my sister does, and my friends, etc.
I know exactly where he's going.
Like when I listen to NPR, I'd always be like, "Why are they whispering?"
He's describing the pretentious left. That's exactly where he's going.
They speak the fuck up, right? Like
soothing. Very soothing.
Yeah. So culturally, I've always been a populist too. But the real problem with the left and the Democratic Party these days, culturally, is we don't want you, we don't want you, we don't want you. If there's a 2% disagreement, we want to cancel you and get you the hell out of here. Right?
Cenk, get out my head. Cenk, what's going on, bro?
Culture, we can get into that. But
yeah,
with the right wing, you agree with them 2%. They're like, oh, welcome in, come to the party. Oh yeah, come on in, come on in.
That's actually
true. And if one party's constantly pushing people out, and the other party's constantly inviting them in, well, at some point, the party inviting them in has the bigger tent, and you not only win the election, you win the popular vote.
I gotta pause again. I hope there's no way anyone who's watching this video or who has seen this clip can think that Cenk is grifting. Cenk has always been Cenk. I think he generally believes this. And why I think he generally believes this? Because 99.99% of what he's saying right now are the exact same things I've been saying for 4 years. The exact same way I've been feeling probably for 6 years. It's like, what the hell is wrong with the left? Why do they push people away? Why do they seem so pretentious? Why don't they listen? Like, what is going on? And then if I criticize the left, they're like, "Oh, you're MAGA. You like Trump. You like what? What are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about? You're gonna lose. You don't look in the mirror. You don't pay attention. You're pushing people away. There's people who don't fit into your little cliques, and you're like, oh, we don't want you in our clique. You're probably watching NASCAR. We all know the left acts like this. Like, it's ridiculous. It's stupid.
So the Democrats have to get out of this mindset of you must agree with Democratic leadership, and if
Ridiculous.
you don't, you're ruining unity. Shut up and get back in line. No, hell no. Young Turks have never been in line. We're never going to get in line. We're not going to get in line for MAGA. We're not going to get in line for the Democratic Party. And these idiots said, bow your head to Joe Biden. And Pat, I was on the show. I was on every show, and I said, what are you guys, nuts? His brain has fallen out of his ear. He's shaking hands with invisible people. He thinks his uncle was eaten by cannibals. You guys are lunatics, and I will not agree to being a lunatic for your agenda. So look, to me, look, I want to propose this as rules for the internet.
I want to hear it. Go for it.
But it's so important that both the right wing and left wing agree with this, right? So let me bounce it off you guys. Number one rule: when we disagree, we fight, and there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong. It's America. Okay, we disagree. We got freedom of speech. Let's rumble. Let's brawl. There's nothing wrong with that.
What do you mean rumble and brawl?
I mean, of course, rhetorically, politically,
Debating.
not violent.
I'll throw down right now, Jim. Take it easy.
Because as simple as that sounds, that was not popular with the left the last 8 years. We've invited so many people from the left, and we will always invite them, but unfortunately, they don't like to fight as much as the other side likes to fight. Okay,
Yeah,
what's rule two?
Rule number two of the internet. Afterwards, you must have a beer together. Okay?
Tip O'Neill and Reagan.
Yeah. And so what I mean by that is you don't have to love the other guy. You don't have to agree with him. But we got to go back to being Americans, right? So, okay, we have a fight. Then let's go get a beer. So what? Okay, I don't agree with you on healthcare. I don't agree with you on trans issues. And I know some people say, hey, look, is there a line that goes too far? Yeah, for some people, there's a line that goes too far. But in general, let's go back to listening to one another. We've been yelling at each other. And by the way, I mean, I'm guilty of it too. I mean,
Oh, thank God.
I think as far as yelling,
So,
on the
you've been
internet
yelling.
goes,
You're yelling for a while.
to your point, yeah, I've done that many, many times. But I try to have a beer afterwards so that we can still be a country together. Okay. And last one is number 3 is when we agree, let's do something really bold and unite. Okay. And if we unite, we will be invincible. Because look, as I said in that tweet, my mortal enemy is the establishment. The one that says, no, the politicians are honest. No, the donor money doesn't affect anyone. You know, this absurdity of CNN and New York Times pretending that the donor money doesn't affect the candidates and it doesn't affect the bills. When they start talking about legislation and we're talking about, hey, can we negotiate drug prices? And you're not talking about big pharma spending billions, if not trillions of dollars in lobbying and donating to the politicians, et cetera. No, it's utter corruption. And we cannot beat that corruption unless we unite. So if the right wing, if I'm right about the right wing populists, and I made a bet with one of my co-hosts last night, okay, well, I can tell you about that too. But if I'm right about the right wing populists and we unite on some things that we agree on, I think we're going to be invincible and finally beat the establishment.
So I like that.
I think that person would have been Bernie Sanders. Call me crazy. I still to this day, I think it was Bernie Sanders.
One, if we disagree, let's fight. Let's debate.
Remember, Bernie, bro. This is what his whole this is really where the whole cancel thing started. It's like you don't agree with us. Oh, misogyny. You're a misogynist because you're a Bernie, bro. That's where this whole thing started. This has been going on for a long time with the left.
2, afterwards,
Ridiculous.
let's have a glass of let's have beer together. 3, if we do agree, let's unite and let's celebrate it and let's come across as a united crowd, united group. I like that. Going back to the conversation with Trump. So Trump won, and he got how many votes? I'm looking at it right now. 77 million votes. Okay, and the only person that ever beat him is the GOAT, Joe Biden. But he got
Jordan.
Man.
Yeah, he got 77 million votes.
Yeah.
Himself. And by the way, just so you know, even the great Obama in 2008 got 69 million votes. In 2012, he got 65 million votes. Hillary Clinton got 65 million votes in 2016. And in 2020, Trump got 74.
Damn.
And now he got 77 million votes, 7
There's
battleground
a
states, all
coincidence.
that
There's a
stuff.
coincidence.
Why do you think he won so single-handedly, like it's not even close?
Yeah. Well, look, the popular vote was close, but so now when the Republicans win the popular vote, it feels like a mandate because they usually lose.
That's
But
true.
he did. He won fair and square, right? And he won with a big vote, and he won all the swing states. So, as you guys know, I was warning that he could easily do that, and my Democratic friends were like, "Oh, you're crazy. Trump's not going to win." No one I know likes Trump. No, you're in a bubble. Everyone's in their own bubble, right?
Cenk,
And probably
Cenk, is it by it? This is crazy. I've had this conversation with family. Like I've said this exact same thing. You're in a bubble. You're in a bubble. Like you, like what is going? They're in these echo chambers and their bubbles. And you're like, you're in an echo chamber, and then the response is, "That's not how our echo chamber works." My buddy legit said to me. He said, everybody I talk to, just like Cenk just said, says that Maga is a cult and they don't like Trump. And I said, well, you're in an echo chamber. He said, that's not an echo chamber. What? What's going on? Like, bro, you're in a bubble. You're in an echo chamber. Get out. Like, what is happening, bro? Anyway.
Some MAGA guys, they probably thought he's going to get 80% or something, right? No, we're in different bubbles.
Yeah.
And what's interesting, Pat, is that I speak both languages. I speak populist and establishment. I speak right wing and left wing. I can understand and I could translate for folks, right? So why did Trump win? Why was he popular? Because he's at least trying to appear to be a populist. Whether he actually is a good question and is going to be settled by the next 4 years, right? But look, I'll give you the example I always give. This random guy, Nick Smith, doing a strike at a Waffle House in Western Virginia, and we go and interview him in the 2016 election. And he says, look, all my family's coal miners, right? And our reporter asks, why are you guys thinking of voting for Trump, right? And he says, look, Hillary Clinton comes here and tells us we're going to lose our jobs and there's no hope. Trump at least has the decency to lie to us. Okay. And he says we got hope, the future is bright, etc. Right? And that makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
And so and then our candidates are so terrible. And after an election loses, you see cable news, CNN, MSNBC. What do? They blame the voters, they blame Russia, they blame Bernie, they blame me, they blame everyone except the candidates. So Kamala Harris, it was a terrible candidate. When you go out there and you're like, I will only do talking points, I will not have any real conversations, then you're not authentic. Trump appears to be authentic, even though, in my opinion, he lies a lot, but he appears to be authentic, whereas our guys look like corporate robots. And what's the lesson they learned? I guarantee you, in the next primary,
They're gonna run Buttigieg or somebody.
Gavin Newsom, Pete Buttigieg. They're like, no, these are the new improved corporate talking robots.
BS.
Right? And that's not the point. Authentic and populist. And by the way, Pat, all across the world, look at what just happened in France. The left and the right got together, both populists, and said no to the establishment. Enough with, taking it to the average man.
I don't know how much, there's not much left, but I might just end it there. I think Cenk nailed it. I don't see how anyone could listen to this. Anyone in sound mind and sound body can listen to what Cenk just said after what we've experienced from the past 3 elections or whatever, and not understand that it's a fact. It's a fact. The left doesn't listen. They're very pretentious. The right, actually, whether you believe it or not, has kicked out their establishment. Even though you don't like Trump, you may not like the way that they did it or the person they're using to do it. You may think that he's lying, but they did it. They did it, and the left refuses to do it. They're still stuck in this cancel culture. If you disagree with us, you're a bigot. It's absolute nonsense. I don't know. I don't know how else to explain it. I've been again, not online, so you guys don't know, but I've been saying this for 4 years. I've been saying this exact same thing to people. I've been saying it at work, not the safest place to say it, but we used to have these conversations. It's election season, But this was years ago. And some of my friends, I know in their minds they're like, oh, he's gonna vote for Trump or this. I'm like, no, I'm not. Never. I've never voted Republican in my life. I did not vote for Trump, but I was ringing the alarm bell, and they just don't want to listen. Like, it's insane to me. And now they're in a bind, and something tells me that they're not gonna learn. They're gonna do the exact same thing. They're gonna rebel. They're gonna keep rebelling, and they're gonna keep losing. To be honest, they're gonna keep losing. It was before my time, but I'm pretty sure there's gonna be 12 years of Republicans. If something doesn't shift, if something doesn't change, it's over. It's over for y'all. Like this is crazy. This is actually crazy. So, bravo, Cenk. Maybe I'll come back and start watching some more of your videos. Maybe, I don't know. And I hear Anna is kind of agreeing with me as well. So maybe I'll check out some of her stuff. But let me know how I'm wrong. Take it easy.